If you like to see more Patriot news, please support us by donate. Link in description. Be a patriot, support us. Take your Patriot t-shirt. Link in description. Thank you and God bless you and America. Bombshell. Supreme Court just stripped Obama legacy to pieces, guilty verdict explodes over the nation. Details. We've been stating it for quite a long time, Barack Obama overstepped the law. The main question left is, how frequently did he break it, and in what number of ways? By all rights, he ought to be under doubt for disregarding and maybe notwithstanding insuring America's foes. The proof on that score is simply past startling. Yet, until that day comes, maybe we ought to be content with Congress seeking after its full examination of our previous president, particularly for the huge IRS scandal that broke some time prior. The more remote we get from Obama's rule, the more violations we find out about. The most recent include Obama's outright infringement of one of this current nation's most consecrated reports, the Constitution. Many have said Obama violated the limits of the Constitution amid his administration. Presently, the Supreme Court concurs. By means of Western journalism, the Supreme Court ruled Tuesday that President Barack Obama violated the Constitution by maintaining former acting National Labor Relations Board General Counsel Lafe Solomon after the Senate refused to vote on his nomination. Obama named Solomon acting General Counsel of the NLRB in June 2010 after Ronald Misberg's resignation the same month. 6 months later, in January 2011, Solomon was nominated to serve as the agency's permanent General Counsel. However, the Senate refused to vote on Solomon's nomination, leaving him as both the acting and nominated General Counsel of the NLRB for 3 years until Richard Griffin's confirmation in the fall of 2013. Chief Justice John Roberts led in the 6-2 choice that Obama's turn was and encircled the Constitution. We cannot cast aside the separation of powers and the Appointments Clause's important check on executive power for the sake of administrative convenience or efficiency, Roberts wrote in the ruling opinion. The judicial branch must be most vigilant in guarding the separation between the political powers precisely when those powers collude to avoid the structural constraints of our Constitution. This isn't the first run-through Obama was discovered breaking the standards. 5 years prior, the court decided collectively that Obama illegally breaks selected 2 NLRB board individuals while the Senate was still in session. The aftermath was noteworthy, as more than 1,000 choices were tested by bosses and unions. Basically, Obama has a past filled with doing this. He got around standards he didn't care for and level out misled the American individuals all through his administration. Also, he says it was scandal-free? Right. What do you think about this? Do not hesitate and write your thoughts in the comments section below. Share the truth, be patriots. Thank you for reading. H.T. Western Journalism, Free Beacon. Ivanka Trump hinder the Obamas from doing more harm to the nation with this bold move. Details. For as far back as 8 long years, President Obama and his family have been devastating our nation, and with it, depleting the greater part of our country's assets on their various colleagues, costly excursions, and just fundamentally attempting to remain in the spotlight. Past conservative presidents, for example, George W. Bush moved post-presidency back to his farm in his home condition of Texas. However, Barack Obama doesn't anticipate leaving Washington, D.C. Actually, Obama has even purchased a house in the city for when he's given his removal from the White House. All things considered, Ivanka Trump has some news for Obama that he unquestionably won't care for hearing. Ivanka Trump and her husband Jared Kushner will soon likewise be living in Washington, D.C. As per the Washingtonian, Ivanka and Jared have either purchased or will rent a house in the prestigious Kalorama neighborhood. A similar neighborhood that Obama purchased his new house in. Truth be told, Ivanka and Jared's new house at 2449 Tracy Place Northwest is under 2 blocks far from Barack's future home. Barack has expressed his goals of staying dynamic in Washington legislative issues, trying to cut Ivanka's dad down when he succeeds Obama. All things considered, Ivanka's smart, Astute move will plainly cut Barack down. Somebody in the Trump organization would be advised to watch out for Barack Obama for the following 4 years, and who better than Ivanka? What do you think about this? Do not hesitate and write your thoughts in the comments section below. Share the truth, be patriots. Thank you for reading. Kaboom! Gorsuch got devastating news from Dems just before confirmation. This is unbelievable. Details. There is no sensible motivation to be against the affirmation of Neil Gorsuch. That hasn't kept Democrats from getting out their disappointment on the staggeringly qualified judge. Toward the beginning of today, we found that the Democrats will hinder Gorsuch's affirmation. As indicated by the Washington Examiner, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer acquainted his imagined plans would vote no on Judge Neil Gorsuch's selection to the Supreme Court and guaranteed that Republicans would need to crush a Democratic delay, keeping in mind the end goal to report him. I have decided in this after a thorough deliberation. I have come to the conclusion that I simply cannot accept Neil Gorsuch's nomination to the Supreme Court, the New York Democrat said Thursday. Schumer continued to say that Gorsuch will have to surpass a cloture vote and earn his confirmation. This is literally nothing more than political theater. Democrats should be embarrassed. Remember how Democrats alluded to Republicans as obstructionists for a long time when Barack Obama was U.S. president? They had blocked considerably more in a few months than Republicans did in numerous years. Donald Trump had a more troublesome period acquiring his cabinet affirmed than any president since George Washington. Nowadays, he can't get a judge through without a delay. At some level, Democrats will need to concur that Donald Trump is the president. There is very nothing faulty about Gorsuch. Nothing by any stretch of the imagination. The Democrats are lost as a party. Nancy Pelosi doesn't know who is the leader of the party. Republicans will overcome this, yet they should utilize the atomic alternative which McConnell has prior demonstrated that is on the table. What do you think about this? Do not hesitate and write your thoughts in the comments section below. Share the truth, be patriots. Thank you for reading. This is Smoking Gun. Hannity is shocked after Devin Nunes' statement, "If he is right then Obama should be in prison this month." Details. Republican congressional agents say that they expect a smoking gun that sets up that the Obama organization kept an eye on Trump transition team and even Trump himself. This confirmation will be a show to the House Intelligence Committee this week, says Fox News. Characterized insight demonstrates that the Trump team was kept an eye on. This confirmation has, as far as anyone knows, been seen by Council Chairman Devin Nunes and was portrayed by him to Sean Hannity. You can watch that video beneath. This is the smoking gun. There is doubtlessly Obama presumably kept an eye on Trump. He kept an eye on everybody. Obama was the most noticeably awful president ever, yet you all realize that. Obama and his organization utilized a proviso to cover true blue reconnaissance on remote targets, say sources. What do you think about this? Do not hesitate and write your thoughts in the comments section below. Share the truth, be patriots. Thank you for reading. T.O. Liberty Writers. Blast. Spy scandal explodes in Obama's face, President Trump gets shocking proof. Details. The Democrats have lost more than quite recently the presidential election. They appear to have lost their moorings. Rather than advancing an intelligent arrangement of approaches as the other option to those of President Trump, they have turned to making assertions of illicit battle strategies. Similar to, the Russians did it. Regardless of how frequently that specific hypothesis gets shot in the head, liberals continue gushing a similar talk. Perhaps this is on the grounds that they truly are out of thoughts. In that capacity, they have occupied with a campaign of the block and jumbling. Regarding adding to the administration of the nation, they are formally useless. Not just have their affirmations of defilement against the Trump organization gone no place, however now their endeavors give off an impression of being reverse discharges as there is proof to bolster claims that Obama really did gather reconnaissance on Donald Trump and his team. So what do we know now? The Washington Examiner reports that House Intelligence Chairman Devin Nunes, R. California, said Wednesday that new intelligence reports show some conversations involving members of President Trump's transition team were collected by intelligence officials, but said those conversations appeared to be collected legally in the course of normal, foreign surveillance. Take note of the absence of insanity or melodrama as Congressman Nunes reports the actualities. At that point, differentiate this contemplated way to deal with the wild, irrational rantings of Representatives Pelosi or Waters. I have seen intelligence reports that clearly show that the president-elect and his team were, I guess, at least monitored and disseminated out in intelligence, in what appears to be raw, or, I should not say raw, intelligence recording channels, Nunes said. It ought to be profoundly upsetting to discover that a president assembled inside data on his successor. It brings up issues concerning whether he additionally accumulated such data on Mr. Trump when he was a competitor. This would be particularly risky given that Mr. Obama normally did not need Mr. Trump to win. Would he have shared, or permitted others to make accessible, such data to Mrs. Clinton? We're speculating not. Hell, we simply heard the Supreme Court discovered Obama liable of disregarding the Constitution, so would it be a good idea for anybody to be astonished at some shady reconnaissance? When one circumvents making genuine charges, it makes a situation which supports promote examinations concerning related groups. At the point when your own particular political house is occupied by the individuals who have made a profession out of starting and profiting by degenerate practices, this turns into a risky action to be sure. Maybe the Democrats who have been violently assaulting President Trump need to relearn the lesson about glass houses and stone tossing. No lawmakers ought to be permitted to escape with debasement, paying little respect to their political alliance. Plain and straightforward. What do you think about this? Do not hesitate and write your thoughts in the comments section below. Share the truth, be patriots. Thank you for reading. H. T. Louder with Crowder, The Washington Examiner.